Real people.
It's time for Farm and Ranch headlines on the Southeast AgNet. I'm Tyron Spearman reporting. This season, get medieval on peanut white mold with the powerful protection of the all-new Excalia fungicide from Valent USA. With superior staying power, Excalia keeps your peanuts from being conquered by white mold, even under heavy pressure. Ask your local retailer or visit valent.com/Excalia to learn more. USDA, the economists predicted that the soybean acres are pegged now at 90 million acres. That is up 6.9 million acres from 2020, and about 7.6% bump in acres. Corn acres, they said, would uptick slightly, but only up to 92 million acres. That's up 1.2 million acres from last year, about a 1.3% increase. Cotton acres planted, they said, would be nearly 12 million. Looking at prices, the USDA is predicting the 2021 crop prices will be about $11.25 per bushel for soybeans, $4.20 a bushel for corn, and $5.50 a bushel for wheat. Still, net cash farm income is expected to decline next year because of lower farm safety payments in the 2021 than producers saw in 2020 due to the coronavirus.
This season, get medieval on peanut white mold with the powerful protection of all-new Excalia fungicide from Valent USA. Here to shield your peanuts from the treachery of white mold, Excalia delivers excellent staying power, keeping your peanuts from being conquered, even under heavy pressure. Stay one step ahead of peanut white mold with the powerful protection of Excalia. Ask your retailer or visit valent.com/Excalia. Always read and follow label instructions.
This season, get the powerful protection of the all-new Excalia fungicide from Valent USA. Ask your local retailer or visit valent.com/Excalia to learn more. I'm Tyron Spearman for Southeast AgNet.
When it really counts, depend on the source for the latest weather updates, keeping you ahead of the storm. 96.3 FM, 1370 AM, The Source.
Today will be partly sunny with a high of 80 to 83. Then we'll have a clear moonlit sky this evening, low tonight 55 to 66. Mostly sunny on Thursday, high tomorrow 79 to 83. Then partly sunny on Friday with a high of 83 to 86. Record-breaking high temperatures on Saturday with partly sunny skies and a high of 86 to 89. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Holly Holdren.
The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses, from its pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
This is Ocala Talks with Tom Schmidt, bringing stories that are important to our community in and around Ocala. Plus, of course, a splash of sports as well. Now, here's your host, Tom.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Ocala Talks on Wednesday here in the Brick City, beautiful Ocala, Florida. Sun high in the sky, few white billowing clouds, but the weather is vastly improving with every second, and looks like a tea time is in the offing for me.
There you go.
Joining us in studio from District 22, State Representative Joe Harding, fresh off of you've been up there in Tallahassee. How long now? 4 months?
We went up first in mid-November to get sworn in and go through some procedural things, and then since January. For committee weeks, almost every week. So really, it's the first week off since the first of the year, not in Tallahassee.
Now, I want the record to show, I got to be honest about this. I want the record to show I did not vote for Joe Harding because I don't live in his district. That upset me, too. I got my ballot, and I wasn't even thinking about it. And I was like, well, Joe's right. I got to vote for Joe. And then I go, oh, yeah, that's right. He's in the Denellen, West Ocala area.
Yeah, I was going to say my mom's
I
probably
live in East Ocala, so I didn't get to vote for him.
That's all right. I was going to say, and you got a good representative over there, but I was going to say my mom's probably listening. Don't let her get on you about that. But
Well, it was because I couldn't vote for you.
That's right. That's right.
It wasn't on my ballot. If you were on my ballot, I'd have voted for you.
That's right.
How you been, Joe?
I've been great.
How's Tallahassee?
It's good. It's a learning curve. I'd be lying to you if I told you any otherwise. But just learning the process and meeting folks from all over the state. It's really humbling to be a part of it. And I joke about this, but I'm half sarcastic. Every day that I swipe my card and it still lets me in the building, I know that I did something right. But it's a humbling experience to be a representative of 21 million people in the state of Florida, one of the freest, I believe one of the states doing it right in our country, getting through the COVID crisis, and it's been great. It's quite a learning process, though.
Little ghost town, though, I bet you.
It is. It is eerily quiet up there. The Capitol, we've got pretty tough restrictions on folks coming in, and understandably so. Just making sure people don't. We need to make sure our staff within the Capitol stays safe and doesn't get sick, because if they get sick, we'd all be in trouble. So it is much quieter. Normally, there's the halls are buzzing, and you've got folks from the district and special interest groups and everybody else walking the hallways, and it's not that way right now. It's really just us lawmakers in the building, and I really feel for the businesses surrounding the Capitol, because they're the ones that really suffer.
Once a year, I'm not going to be able to do it this year. I was able to do it last year. I'm not going to be able to do it this year because of COVID. But once a year, I like to take a day trip to Tallahassee and just go sit in the gallery and watch what happens in the Senate, watch what happens in the House, I know if I go sit in the Senate, Dennis Baxter's going to stand up sometime during the time I'm there and speak. So I always like to go see Dennis, because I know Dennis is he's a proud worker for Marion County and the citizens of our area. So I like to go watch Senator Baxley, and I would like to go watch you in the House, but with the restrictions right now, that's not going to be able to happen. Now, those restrictions are more COVID related than they are because of what happened January 6th in Washington, correct?
Correct. And you can still go. So it's just a little bit different where you've got to register. The Senate has different rules than the House. The House, if you have a particular committee or a day you want to go and sit in the gallery, there is a process to do that. You can go online, there's a form that you fill out. But so there is a process, and they'll let you in the building. It's just not as free as it was before.
Yeah,
you could
just walk in.
But it's because of COVID. There is a little bit extra security because of what happened in D.C. and I think there's just warranted precaution there. But the changes to visitors isn't anything to do with that. It's really more to do with the COVID.
And I bet there's no lunch buffet at the Capitol Grill because of COVID too.
Unfortunately, no. It's kind of disappointing.
And the lunch buffet at the Capitol Grill is legendary.
It is
legendary. And there's a pretty good golf course right there near the Capitol too.
I need to visit that. You got to come and we'll do that.
Just so I can tell you, I don't care for Florida State, but I like Tallahassee.
That's right. No, we need to check out that golf course.
Let's talk for a minute about some things that Marion County people are concerned with. And it was just announced that Jenny Springs is going to have another 2 million plus gallons of water a day taken out by Nestle. The Swanee River Authority gave them that authority. It came down yesterday. So when you got things like Rainbow Springs, which is a beautiful natural spring here in your area of the county that you represent, then you got the largest artesian well, Silver Springs, right here. I really want our springs protected, but I want to be able to use our springs too. Is there some talk in Tallahassee about how we can reach a happy medium with the people who like ecotourism, but they also want to keep the ecosystem as natural as it is, and then people like me who would like to see maybe a convention center or a hotel built at one of these places so we can use it? There's lots of different things you can do, but definitely I want to go back swimming into Silver Springs. Is there talk up in the legislation about our beautiful springs in our area?
So I would say overall, as far as the governor, he's been really clear on his I think he's one of the most, more environmentally and conservative governors that we've had, and very environmentally friendly, and has allotted quite a bit of money in the budget for that. So I think my job as the legislator is going to be, how can we fight for every dollar we can get so on the dollar side, we can fight for every dollar we can get to our local springs and make sure we're doing our part. I think at the end of the day, there's a lot to say. The local municipalities have a lot to say with what they allow on the river, and to your point on the hotel side and that discussion. I think that's where I really would rely a lot on those local officials on that front. But I would say overall, there is discussion about that balance. And we're seeing through COVID kind of what it looks like when you get impacted from, when the state shut down and we didn't have as many tourists coming into the area. I think towns like Denellen probably saw an impact like anybody, more than anybody else in this area.
The Rainbow Springs and all the Withlacoochee probably didn't get used as much.
That's right. And you go on a Saturday, and I've born and raised and spent all my life in this district almost, and you go on a Saturday through Denellen, it's a happening town, and all the small businesses they're impacted in a positive way. So we got to make sure we are able to keep up the tourism. And to your point on the Silver Springs, I mean, I'm very open to discussion on how we as a state help. I think you're spot on. If we could, I'd love to swim in that river too, with my kids and experience that. So
I ding one of your colleagues. I ding him about once a week, once every 10 days. Hey, Stan, what are we doing about the Springs?
Yeah.
Hey, Stan, what are we doing about the Springs? We're talking about Representative Stan McLean. So I ding him about once every. I'll say, hey, Stan. I'll text him sometimes and go, hey, Stan. He goes, I know, the Springs.
He's a great advocate for Marion County. Proud to be able to work with him.
Yeah, he does great. Him and Dennis Baxley both do a great job.
They do.
Let's talk for a minute about the World Equestrian Center.
Yeah.
Because I know you got to have a little bit of pride, a little bit of brag in you when you get to Tallahassee and say, you see this World Equestrian Center thing we got going on?
That's right. I am tremendously proud of it, and in my district, might add.
Right, it is in your district,
right at the corner of it. I am really proud of it. I did a gift for all my freshman members. That's part of the process. We did a little gift bag for everybody, and it wasn't intentional. But about half the things in the bag were swag gear items, for just bragging about World Equestrian Center. And I think that most folks don't know about it. So I've been promoting it in Tallahassee, and it's been amazing how many colleagues that drive through this district. Really, when you think about it, if you live south of Ocala and you're traveling to Tallahassee, you're coming through House District 22, and how many of them have now stopped and said, "Hey, I got to check this place out." It is going to be. It's not just going to impact. It's not just impacting Ocala. It's impacting the state. In the equestrian world, and we're just fortunate just to have it in our backyard, and I'm really proud of it. We've been to several shows now there, and I'm proud of what they're doing, and looking forward to the word getting out on that project.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you then, because of World Equestrian Center, the traffic influx that's going to be in that area once it gets in full swing. Once it's completed, it's probably got another 2 years before it's completely done. But then the traffic impact of that area, that's going to bring people back to saying, see, we need that Suncoast to come through there because we got to have a traffic release. We're not doing that, right?
No, I think that we're pretty clear on that. I think that Florida's growing. There's going to be growing pains, but I'm not for doing anything that would hurt our farmland preservation area, and that's in it. I mean, tough infrastructure discussions need to be had in Florida, and our area is going to be impacted at some point, whether we say yes or no. I mean, it will impact us. So I look forward to those discussions as they happen, and I want to make sure at the end of the day too that we make sure we get every dollar we can to help with our infrastructure locally. I
got a good idea. I know I've looked at the state plats and everything. What they want to do with the Suncoast, and I know the idea is to join metropolitan areas. And I understand that there's the Cross Barge Canal was supposed to join Jacksonville's port and Tampa's port. Thankfully, somebody in the 50s realized it would ruin the aquifer, so they quit that. They decided not to go through with that. But you still need a connect between Tampa and Jacksonville, two large ports, one on the Gulf of Mexico and one on the East Coast. You still need that connect. So somebody said that's what the Suncoast, Parkway is supposed to do, because 75 and 10, while they're very good highways, they get a little busy. I understand that. But I've looked at the maps. There's enough right-of-way that we could 3-lane, possibly even 4-lane in each direction, 301, all the way to Jacksonville from Marion County, and maybe make some of it a toll road, like express lanes is what you did, so it's a toll road. Their existing land that we already own as a state, that we could do this without having to come through horse country. Is that some of the things that people are starting to look at?
Yeah, and that's been my message from the beginning was where can we use existing roads and right-of-ways? I'd say U.S. Highway 19 is probably one of the most underutilized roads in Florida.
I mean, how many times have you passed more than on let's say a Tuesday, you're going to Tallahassee. You leave Tuesday morning to go to Tallahassee at 9 in the morning from your house.
Yep.
You get on 19. What's the chances you pass if you counted every car on 19 between where you get on it and Chiefland? What's the chances you're going to see more than 100 cars?
Very slim.
Very slim.
You're 100% right. Yeah, 100% right. And think about the impact and the positive impact in some of those small towns that have been hurting for a long time.
Williston, Chiefland, all the way up to Perry. They would benefit from 19 being a bigger road and more used road.
Yeah, I think there's a balance. We got to do it right. I think, but at the end of the day, we're saying it. The growth is happening, and I think coming out of and going through COVID, it's becoming more and more clear. Florida's where you want to be. If you're
1,000 people a week move here.
That's right, and that's not going to change, especially with our governor, and especially with the leadership he's had. And I don't think that's changing anytime soon. So
talk about the leadership in Tallahassee, where it's at right now. And I don't mean just the governor. I'm a fan of the governor. I voted for Adam Putnam, but the governor's Ron DeSantis has got me in squarely in his corner now. But talk about not only his leadership, but the leadership in the House and the Senate.
Well, leadership truly is trickle-down effect. And I think that his leadership throughout this, he realized, I think, pretty early on that no matter what he did, there were going to be haters on all sides. If you reopen Florida, then it was going to be that, the risk factor. If he kept it closed, then we're going to. So I think he just realized he needed to lead and be the leader that he is and stay true to what he believes. And I think he's done that well. And we're fortunate in the House to have a speaker that I believe is very, very much in line, has made priorities that are very impressive. And, he's shifted. And you imagine, you work for years to work up to be the speaker, and then COVID happens and all your priorities are immediately shifted. And I think he did a tremendous job of realizing that quickly and making priorities. We've got priority everything from some legislation that we'll be voting on next week on the floor on liability protection for small businesses with COVID, liability protection for healthcare workers, making sure that we're not making it more and more easy in Florida to sue, making it sue happy for people that want to try to you call them ambulance attorneys.
They want to make money off of a pandemic.
That's right. And so there's some legislation that will be voted on. I believe it's on the agenda for Thursday of next week. That's going to address that concern. And I think he did a great job of pivoting on that. And we've also got a House Bill number 1, which is a bill relating to combating public disorder and rioting, and really realizing that it's okay to protest. There's a line between protesting and rioting. And
throwing chairs through a glass door, shoving cops out of the way just so you can gain entry, that's not allowed.
That's right. And I think it's created some really good dialogue in Tallahassee. I will say, one of the positive things that I see in Tallahassee is that, you've got so much rhetoric at the national level. We sit down and watch it on the news every day. But really at the state level, it's impressive. There is hard discussions that are had and really core beliefs that are different on the opposing sides. But I think we set an example of how you can have that disagreement and do it civilly. And I think that bill's going to do it sends a great message to our local sheriff, our local police officers, that at the state level, we're going to make sure we have your back. And destroying a business and burning a building down is not protesting, and we're going to throw the law at you. We're going to throw the book at you.
We're talking to State Representative Joe Harding from District 22. So let me get this right, because I think you just said something that's mind-boggling to me. Are you telling me Republicans and Democrats can have conversations like adults and you don't end up just mudslinging at each other and you actually get stuff done? Is that what you're telling me happens in Tallahassee?
It can happen. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. Maybe it's you think about this, and at the national level, so much of it's theater. It's for TV.
Theater.
It's for TV. And we have the Florida channel, and we broadcast everything that happens in the legislature. You can watch it, but it doesn't have the viewerships that CNN or Fox have.
And the Judge Judy aspect to the Florida House and Senate.
No, it's not. There's not moments of bizarre occurrences, but we still get in the elevator, we still ride together, we still so it. Yes, I do believe it civilly. It can happen, and I don't have my rosy-colored glasses on and believe that conflict's not going to arise. It is, but if we could get more of what happens, I believe, in the state legislators. I don't think Florida's an anomaly. I think this happens everywhere. In the national level, we'd probably be a lot better off.
I think if more people understood, I firmly believe, because I've been to Tallahassee a bunch of times, I've been for mayor and county days and stuff, Democrats and Republicans alike in Tallahassee all, first and foremost, know they're Floridians.
That's right.
And that's a huge deal. I think sometimes on the national level, the Democrats and Republicans in Washington forget they're all Americans. I really think they forget that they're Democrats or Republicans. And they're not. They're Americans who their ideology happens to be Democrat or Republican.
You know, as you were saying that, something that came to mind that I see, we're part-time legislators. I go up there for a week, I come
You're not
back.
a full-time guy.
Yeah, and these folks in D.C., they spend their life up there, and you get in your bubble and you forget what happens in your district. And I think you're hitting the nail on the head. You know, we go back every weekend, and this is across the board, all 120 of us. We go back to our districts, we live, we work, and under the laws that we create, it's what our forefathers envisioned. I think what's happened is we've got folks at the national level that made a career of it, and they don't go home back to their constituents, except exceptional, here and there, but they don't go back every week. And I think when you do that, you're held accountable for the decisions you make, and you also live under the laws that you create.
Yeah, I don't think Nancy Pelosi's running into her constituents in a Costco, where you go to Winn-Dixie and Denellen or Publix, people go, "Hey, Joe, I saw how you voted last week. Let me tell you something."
That's right. Maybe just at the hair salon she does that, but that's about the only place.
Exactly. But I mean, that's what you mean is every week you have to go back and you live in that area.
That's right.
You run into people that have known you since you were a kid that will come up to you in the grocery store and say, "Hey, I like what you did," or "Hey, what the hell were you thinking?"
That's right.
You got people that'll do both. And I think that's that's what makes state legislation so important. And I always tell people, your state legislators, your county administrators, your city councils, they're much more important to your overall daily life than what's going on in Washington.
Dead on. That's right.
Now, I know you're a working guy. I know that you don't shy away from work. So I figure, unlike most freshmen that go and get their feet under them first, you probably hit the ground running. Is there anything that, passion that you got going up there that you've been working on?
Yes. And, we ran, this, but we ran a tough campaign for 2 years. And when that wrapped up, we immediately threw ourselves into this because that's just the work ethic that we have and how we're going to do it. I've got a bill that passed its first committee stop last week that I'm really proud of. It's the Surrender of Newborn Infants Act, and what this does, right now in current law we have where you can surrender a child to a police officer or a fireman at a police station or at a fire station.
Within the first 72 hours of birth?
First 7 days. First 7 days.
7 days.
7 days. That's the current law. But you have to do it in person. So there is no way to legally, anonymously give up your child. And since the Florida Safe Haven laws have existed, 65 children have been left. 65 newborn infants have been abandoned in unsafe places. And there's a list in dumpsters, side of the road.
One baby was found 3 or 4 years ago in an ant bed in a box, set in an ant bed on the side of the road.
That's right. And if that was the case that we're thinking about, it was on the interstate at an on-ramp.
Right.
So that occurs, and there's over a 50% death rate of the children that are left abandoned in unsafe places. That was the part that really woke me up to this issue. I'd heard about this issue, and when I started looking at the data, that was the big thing that jumped out at me. So the bill that I've got that passed its first committee stop last week would change the surrender laws from 7 days to 30 days because there's plenty of data to show that postpartum period, that second and third week, is really the toughest. And if you're a mother and you have a child and you're in the hospital for 5 days and then you go home to a bad, abusive late relationship or whatever it is, and you realize you don't want to raise your child in that environment, that's the target. That's the folks that we want. The child has the best chance for the child is obviously to be with its biological parents. But if that is a bad situation, the best chance for the child is the earlier that child is put into an adoption agency and be able to be adopted, the best chance it has at life. So this will the law would change it from 7 days to 30 days. And the second part of this bill is it allows a way to safely, anonymously give up the child. And you'll hear baby box, you'll hear all these different terms. But basically what it is, it's a a surrender box that would go on the side of a building that at a fire station, a police station, same location.
We have one here in Ocala. They put one here in an Ocala fire station.
We do. So we've been using that example, and it followed the one that was put in at the fire station, the new fire station on Martin Luther King. Is put with all the guidelines that we're outlaying within our bill.
It's got temperature control, air conditioned and heated. It's a safe haven for a newborn.
That's right. So I'm proud to say that bill passed its first committee stop 16-1, and bipartisan support. One Democrat that was down on it, and I would say that last year this bill passed in the House. It didn't pass in the Senate, and that one Democrat that was down was also down last year. So Senator Baxley is running this bill in the Senate. It's going along well. It's passed through 2 of its 3 committee stops, and I'm hoping to have my second and last committee stop hopefully next week, if not the second week of session. And it's looking good for that bill. I've got a couple construction industry deregulation bills that deal with some nuances there, and then I've got total of 7 bills. So we've got a lot of legislation that we're pushing forward, and everything we're going to push forward is really going to be fundamental. Does it expand the role of government, or does it reduce the role of government? And is it good for my district, or is it not? Because so many of the discussions, you have to, at the end of the day, do what's best for your district.
Well, when you talk about expand the role or reduce the role of government, I think infrastructure-wise and safety-wise, government should always look to expand, because that's your job. Your job is to keep me safe and to make sure that my infrastructure is in good enough shape where I stay safe on roadways and everything.
That's right.
After that, I'm all about reducing government.
You're taking my talking points, Tom. That's what I always say. Government has 2 fundamental roles, public safety and infrastructure. Do those 2 right, and everything else goes from there. Yeah. If you do what's right for the public safety, if you do what's right for the infrastructure of our state, you'll make the right decisions.
We're up against a break. Can you stick around for a little bit longer? Because I want to talk to you about infrastructure. Because we got some bridges and some stuff here in our county that during the economic downturn were ignored a little bit by FDOT because they had to be. There were some tough decisions made back then, but now as the economy maybe rebounds from COVID, we may start looking at the need for doing something. The county's doing great with their penny sales tax, but there's some state-maintained areas that I want to talk to you about that may need to be looked at as well. We're talking with State Representative Joe Harding. He represents District 22 here in Marion County. We'll be back after this short timeout. You're listening to Ocala Talks, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.